movement started. So we want to put that behind us. We have moved away from there, and we don't want to go back. So if they want to continue commemorating the 11th of February as their youth day, they should do it in their own part of in their country, not their own part, in their country. We don't want it, and ever since we've been trying to make our people to to stop taking part in the commemoration of the 11th of February. This year,
Okay,
yes, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
This year it turned violent in a few places, and we will talk about that now. So after,
Okay,
mhm.
yeah. Before we go to where it turned violent, and then we'll make a difference between the two violences that took place, I want to find out from you. Do you think that La République du Cameroon is hiding something from the international community, from their own people, when they don't celebrate January 1st, 1961 as their, 1960 as the day of their independence? Because I have asked some adults, both from La République du Cameroon and some of them who studied in the University of Boya, and they are telling us that the independence of Cameroon was on the 11th of February. Now, some say it was 20th May, and some think that the most celebrated day, which is 11th February, makes up part of the independence of Cameroon. Do you think there is something wrong that these people are hiding this historical fact from the youths of today?
Yes, it is for the same reason I just gave you. They want
Right.
to make it look like we have always been together. We have always been together, and so that's the way it should be. We have always been together, and so it looks like February is the national day. 11 February is the national day of Cameroon. No, it wasn't. The national day of Cameroon for La République was January 1, and the national day for Southern Cameroons, if we could call that a national day. Unfortunately, we don't want that. Is October 1, 1961. That was the day when the colonial master left us, and we went to join La République du Cameroon under very what they themselves they are the last French High Commissioner to Cameroon said the federation that was created was the federal system that was put in place on that started on 1st October 1961 was federal only in name. It was a fake federation. That's what he said in his book. I have the book right behind me here. So he
Yeah.
said it was a fake, yeah, and that's but they are trying to hide those things. That's why they cling around October 11th and May 20th.
20th.
May 20th happened to be the day when Ahidjo decided to do his another fake event, the referendum, which he did on May 20th. And do you know what? May 20th happened to be
The
the
birthday of
the
Gemina.
the birthday of his wife. Because there again he was repeating history, because
Yeah.
Napoleon Bonaparte's wife too was born, the French general who became an emperor too was born
Mhm.
on May 20th. So you see, so he
Wow.
was uh, commemorating all those things. What was her name again? Josephine, I think. Yeah. So So he put it on that day, and they are holding that up as if that was the day Cameroon became independent. Every country celebrates its Independence Day, and Cameroon is the only country that doesn't celebrate its Independence Day. Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame.
Wow. Thank you. Yeah, it's a shame. It's really a shame.
Mm.
We now know that they are hiding things. And let me ask you this last question in the past before we get into the event that just took place in the fake 11 February in our country, which we said we're not going to work. Now, let me just ask you this last ancient question. Do you think that some of the Ambazonians who are clamoring for a second federal Republic of Cameroon, there will be a difference from the first failed Federal Republic of Cameroon, which La République did not want the federation to continue? Do you think that these people who are clamoring for another Federal Republic of Cameroon for us to join them, that there will be any change? If at all that happens, I know that is a thing that can never happen. But do you think there could be a change from the first?
I don't see that actually happening for the simple reason that it is they who abolished the federation. By the way, do not forget that it wasn't us. It's they who abolished the federation, and by decree brought us back to La République du Cameroon. It was they. And those who are clamoring for a return to federalism, do they have the promise of La République that they would want a federation again? Have they told them that already? That or do they think they have the ability to impose federalism on La République du
La
Cameroon?
Republic.
Can they do that? Do they have the means of imposing that? I do not see that. So so
Yeah.
you can't change, you can't convince the people who abolished the federation to accept the federation a second time. No way. No way.
Yeah.
So that is all that is just a pipe what do they call it? Pipe dream. Yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't
Yeah.
have it. Yeah.
Yes. So, Ambazonians and the people around the globe, I want you to understand that even La Republique has not opted for a second time or a second chance of a federation because they abolished
They
it.
haven't. They haven't.
And so all the surrogates and those who are contractors with La Republique who are Ambazonians, I want to tell you that you have failed in this 21st century because the never again generation mixed together with historians like us who saw what happened at that time and has an understanding of what is going on. We will
Mm.
never allow you, the youth, and especially you who were born in the regimes of Ahijo and Paul Biya under bribery and corruption, and you try to bring in the corruption to those of us who lived in Ambazonia and we did not know corruption, we will not accept because our children's children must see a difference. And that is
Mm.
it that I wanted you people to hear from the horse's mouth, that all those who are going around saying, oh, we can go back to federation, they are just people who have eaten bribe and their mouths are filled with gravel. They cannot talk. And La Republique, who abolished it, has not even opted for it. Okay, with that said, let's cross over to the happenings that took place on the um, 11th of February, which was a ban occasion in Ambazonia. The government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia decreed 6 days of lockdown so as to prevent La Republique from playing their normal and usual mafia of anticipating and getting people march before the 11th, so that on that day they will bring out images which actually happened. But then some gullible Amazonians shouted, like they have always been doing, who is punishing the people, who is punishing the people. And the question is it good for people to be punished or for people to be killed? And the answer is people should be punished from we, the Amazonians. But that was not punishment. That was fighting for our freedom, to establish it. Now, some people came up and shouted the top of their voices. And since an average human being who want to eat omelette without breaking it, some people caught it and the after effect came up. Now, what would you tell Ambazonians whenever government, before we get into what happened, what will you tell Ambazonians that whenever the federal government sends out a communique, it is actually for them to obey and seek to save their lives and to get us going to Boya as it is right now? What would you tell the Ambazonian people?
Uh, what our people ought to know is that civil disobedience involves uh, uh, staying away from doing things that you would regularly do. You will civil disobedience. You are obeying somebody who claims to be the authority in a civil way. You are not resisting. You are not taking on arms to fight. You are just saying, "I'm not going to go to work today or this week because I am protesting." And we have done it for close to 8 years now, and it's very effective. Now, the government of La Republique, for the little that is still on our territory, they they plan their programs around that too. They take that into consideration. They plan it. So it is our right to disobey in a civil way, peacefully, especially as this is peaceful. We stay at home and we don't go out to get arrested or anything. So, and we don't harm anybody. And well ahead of the period when we want to do the civil disobedience act, we inform people to stock food, buy things that they are going to eat for the length of time. So no, at the end of the day, nobody is actually being punished. No, because people have known that ahead of time and they have prepared. They have bought their food, and whatever they will need for the week, and then they stay home. And it's a very, very effective tool in civil disobedience, in fighting the government. You fight without
Arms.
violence. Yes, without arms and without violence. Uh, uh, Mahatma Gandhi did that in India before Britain accepted to grant India independence. That's what they did. Martin Luther King,
So actually, mhm,
let me
go
just finish
ahead.
this
Go
one
ahead.
last sentence. Martin Luther King led the civil disobedience in the United States too. That led to the improvement uh, in the in society in America. Previously, there were places where black people couldn't go. No, but all that is changing gradually, but is changing, and it's as effect of the use of civil disobedience. Let's get used to that. That's what is going to free us from this, from where we are now. It is not just the fighting. The people to have to sacrifice something, and it is this time that they are called to stay in and not go out. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir. Now, Ambazonians at home, I want to let you know that there are some contractors in the diaspora that will tell you something different from what the federal government of Ambazonia, of whom President Sako comes out to give instructions, they come out to counter because they are contractors of La Republic du Cameroon. And the after effect was seen recently. Now, I don't know, sir, did you watch the March past purported to have taken place in Bamenda, where all the students of the University of Bamenda came out with a COVID a mask in
Yes.
their mouths in
Mhm.
2024? Can you tell us if actually there was COVID on the 11th of February 2024 in Bamenda, that that kind of a situation was staged?
You see, the government, uh, uh, they are best at lying, and they keep on lying. So they may have just recruited anybody. They may have brought people from East Cameroon to come and to come and march. So they give them masks so that they were the Bamenda people who see them will not identify them. I don't think they were our people who were marching. I will just go on to talk about the Inkambe thing because I observed three things. Well, there was this bombing, and there were some kids dancing, and what else? And then there were rescuers. I want to talk about those three. Oh, there was a fourth one. Somebody was distributing cash. I saw that. So I am thinking that whatever happened in Campbell wasn't done by the 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 bombing was probably not done by our people. No, because we don't kill our own children. We do not kill our own children. So I don't think our people did that. I think the Republic did that. I'm saying that because when you look at the picture of those children dancing, who were dressed in loincloth down and I think white shirt up, and they were dancing. We don't have that kind of dance in our tradition. Even in Campbell, we don't have that. That dance is a bazaar dance. Is the one the kind that Saleh John, who by the way was born in Ambas Bay, uh, place. He is of
Yeah.
Bazaar descendant descendants. I know. It is that kind of music that they were playing, and those kids were dancing. So I'm not sure those kids were our kids. I'm not sure. I don't know where they came from. Maybe there's a there's a large community or people from the Bassa community who came up there, and I don't know, but those children did not dance like we would dance. That's one thing I observed. So I think that was staged. That's my feeling. Secondly, somebody was distributing money. Okay, it is unusual to distribute money, and the aim of the distributing money of the distribution is to entice people to come out, because they thought that the people would obey, would follow the the advice of the government of Amazonia and stay away from all from the from the activities. So to entice them, to get them out on the street, was to incentivize them, to give them money, and that's what somebody was doing. Yeah, I saw that. And probably that's what brought a majority of the people out, because I can see everybody was going there and taking their own banknote and going away. Yeah. Another thing I observed was that those who were rescuing the people, who were rescuing the victims, they were speaking French. So, do we have so many French speaking people over there like that? They were speaking French. So, why did the Nkambe people, the native Nkambe people, where were they? Why didn't they go out to rescue their people? So I think all that was set up, was staged to again portray the image that peace has returned and everything is going on as usual. That was the purpose of what happened in Ndu, no, in Cambe.
Bui,
The,
Bui.
yeah, yeah, Bri, and
No, Cambe.
yeah,
Okay, Cambe,
yeah. But there was
Cambe.
also,
Yeah.
yeah. There was also an image about Bri when some people went to church after after they had got uh, the decree that there was no activity, no outing for the whole week. I don't know why they were going to church. Yeah, but those two were peacefully, those were peacefully dispersed, and nobody was harmed. The place where people were harmed was in Canberra, and I suspect I would point an accusing finger at the Republic, that they did that, and they want to tell the world that you see, they are contradicting themselves, because on the one hand they are claiming that peace has returned, and then on the other hand they want to still accuse our people of carrying out violent acts. No, you can't have it both ways. So that was staged. And for those three reasons I have evoked, I have pointed out, I think it was a, an act carried out by La Republic.
Okay. Thank you very much. The last thing I want you to comment before you take your leave. Now, we saw what happened in Nkambe, and in the social media, it's alleged that I have seen it on camera where one francophone was standing, and I think the gala of a man and the so-called mayor of Nkambe were explaining the reason for the 50 million. They opened a suitcase with about that 50 million was sent for whatever purpose, to bribe the people to come out, which they did. And they stage play the killing of our people, which it happened and they did. And what some people are commenting that it was to hide the evidence of the 50 millions, because they distributed about 300,000 to the people, and the balance of the 49,700,000 went into the pocket of these individuals. Well, that's what they are saying. But what we want to pick out from there is that Nkambe was seriously militarized. And then we have the situation in Bui, where our ASA, Ambazonian State Army, went peacefully in the church and told the church people, hey, the government of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia said there should be no movement. Please go to your homes in peace. Now, how can you compare these two military people, the Ambazonian State Army and the brutal army of La Republic of Cameroon that was so visible in Nkambe, compared to our state army? Over to you.
Well, you are just confirming what I have just said. In Bui, our gallant troops just went to the church and politely asked the churchgoers to return home. and they left, and there was no resistance and there was no violence. They just left and we went home. It was very peaceful. In Canberra, where the government had staged what it wanted, had prepared what it wanted to do, there was violence because the government wants to tarnish our image. They want us to be known as terrorists, as they prefer to call us, whereas they are the ones terrorizing us. So they did that to continue to say that to call for condemnation from the rest of the world, to say that we are terrorists, but we are not. On the other hand, uh, they want to claim that peace has returned. Peace can return, and then there will be terrorism. So that's the contradiction. They do not think through the acts which they carry out. Yeah, they contradict themselves as they go along, and I don't know what they are doing. It's up to them.
All right. Thank you so very much. After this pause, I'll be coming back for the conclusion and the analysis of what has been going on. But for now, stay tuned.
A brushstroke of tranquility. Against the canvas of the heavens, 13 stars glimmer, the celestial acknowledgement of each county's shared dreams and harmonious virtues. The dove, in its eternal flight, is not merely a bird, but an embodiment of the collective longing for a peaceful existence under a shared identity. Beneath the mountain top, firmly grounded in the richness of the earth, twin elephant tusks rise as natural monuments. Their arcs, regal and commanding, capture the noble essence of the land spirit animals. This emblem, this seal of...
Yes, Ambazonians, that is what we are talking about. A land that is blessed by God, very natural. And La Republic don't understand that we are not the people who put the resources in our land. And instead of humbling themselves and going back to ask God and talk to God what is going on, they have come out to face us. Unfortunately, we have handed over whatever they are trying to do to God. And I believe that they will get it, because the Ambazonian has handed over to God. Like we're talking, I told you we're going to bring these current events that have just turned into history, and immediately after that, we'll be getting back some past stories. But before we go to the past stories, I want Ambazonians and everyone listening to us that the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, Dr. Samuel Sako Ekome, from the mind of his mind and from the depth of his heart, he sympathizes with everyone and every family, especially with the families, because those who are gone cannot get his sympathy. He sympathizes with everyone that willfully or ignorantly has lost a number of people or just one person in their family as a result of their disobedience. And because they have opened their ears to listen to people who have actually teamed up to work with La Republic, who doesn't want the end of this war that is going on, this genocide that is going on in Amazonia. And so they come out with their different narratives. Recently, I heard one of these young men called Capo Daniel in a subtle voice talking rubbish to discourage the Amazonian people. He has failed, and he believes that his failure should be propagated and sent to everybody to get discouraged. But Mr. Man, I want to tell you that God spewed you out a long time ago when you were discussing, I don't know with who, in that leaked video or leaked audio, which you know that they gave you 500 million and 1 billion was remaining to be paid. I don't know whether it was actually paid. And you came in to sabotage and to make sure that our focus on Boya is diverted. Unfortunately, you failed. And I want to tell you, as a child of God, as a Christian, as a historian, as a seer, upon whom God has spoken that Amazonia must be realized, that put all your stooges and cartel together, you will never stop the move to get our complete recognition. Our independence, unfortunately, is very clear in the United Nations, in their archives, and there is no way they can wipe it out. And people like Anu Chris, who do not understand the meaning of words, the significance of words, are having people amongst him that call themselves doctors, and they cannot give a simple definition of what a referendum is. No country in the world that is independent will go back to make a referendum. It is unfortunate that we are singing and singing and singing, and doctors that are working with him, because I know that he didn't go to school enough to be able to have the definition. But why don't you be humble, comrade in arms, sometimes president, and so many other names, anchorman? Why don't you be humble enough to learn from your friends? You know, I call all the lawyers learned friends, and I tell them that I am not a learned friend, I am an educated friend. And so an educated person should be willing to learn from a learned person. And that's what we do in Amazonia, because nobody has a mastery or the monopoly of his learnedness or of his education. So that's why we are learning every day. Mr. Chris, please, even the diplomat that is talking dishonestly and still calling some words like referendum, and I begin to wonder, how did he become a diplomat without knowing the definition of the referendum and who should do referendum? It's unfortunate. So Ambazonians are not fighting to be recognized by referendum because their independence stands, and Ambazonians are looking and standing for their seat to be given to them by the United Nations, of which the results of 11th February or the 21st April, I can't know exactly, but the results were that there were 64 countries that voted for the independence of Amazonia out of 100. So whatever happened, the percentage is what we are looking for. And that 64 votes were for the 1st of October to have Amazonia have its independence, which actually was affected. And so we're not talking about independence again. We're talking about the United Nations, the international community, waking up to realize that we are no more fools because we have come to age, and they must give us our independence. I'm going to play just a scenario. You will listen by audio And after that, I will bring to you another scenario before we call it quit for today. So please stay quiet and listen as I bring this to you. Listen.
Its French abbreviation as DAG or DAG. There are less than 5 Anglophone DAGs in 38 ministries. There are equally less than 5 Anglophone secretaries general in 38 ministries. In the administration, Anglophones are almost completely absent. There are only 8 Anglophone senior divisional officers out of 58. There are equally less than 40 Anglophones who are divisional officers in Cameroon, in spite of the fact that Cameroon counts up to 360 DOs. The military is another black area for Anglophones. French is a de facto official language in the military. The police force witnesses a similar level of Anglophone marginalization, according to some analysts. Anglophones have been indeed in all of these for a very long time. But when we look at what is actually happened, many of you have an impression that all is not going well at all. Because when you look at the military, like I said, it's another black area for Anglophones, and French is the de facto official language in that corps. The police force witnesses a similar level of Anglophone marginalization, and Anglophones have been, conditioned not to dream of heading the national security and defense ministries. At the police training college in Mutengene, more than 70% of the students are Francophones, even though the school is found on Anglophone soil. The presidency is almost exclusively Francophone territory. Anglophone officials there are not only few, but have been programmed to play only second fiddle. Of the more than 36 heads of diplomatic missions, only 6 are Anglophones. In the most important English-speaking countries like the United States, United Kingdom, and Canada, there is no Anglophone heading the diplomatic missions. Anglophones, despite the sweeping victories of the ruling party in the 2020 municipal, parliamentary, and the 2018 senatorial elections in the Northwest and Southwest regions, continue to be marginalized by the ruling party, according to some of them. Despite the fact that the ruling party was put to birth in the Anglophone town of Bamenda, no Anglophone for the over 37-year existence of the CPDM has ever been Secretary General of the ruling party or even elected to the second fiddle position of CPDM Assistant Secretary General. So the statistics are indeed so many. And if you go, for instance, in the National Oil Refinery Corporation.
Before we enter the National Refinery Corporation, I want you to note that in this, our AMBA history, we seek to bring to you stories that are past. Now, as you can hear from his recounting, this is about 3 years ago that this was said, recounting the pain. This particular story I'm bringing to you now is past. It's called history. But you need to know in this present generation. But I want you to listen very well. Forgive the language of Northwest and Southwest because we don't have Northwest and Southwest in Ambazonia. La Republic gave that appellation in order to divide and conquer us, but it will not work. Now listen. It goes to our resources. Listen attentively.
By its French acronym SONARA, that is based in Limbe, more than 90% of senior staff and the overwhelming majority of junior staff are Francophones. Although SONARA is on Anglophone soil, the official language there is French. Since its inception in 1979, no Anglophone has occupied the position of general manager or even deputy general manager. Even though crude oil is refined in Sonora in Limbe, the long-awaited Limbe Deep Sea Port project has remained only on papers for decades. On the contrary, government has spent billions to construct a pipeline linking Limbe to the Douala ports from where fuel is exported. The Limbe Deep Sea Port, or Natural Deep Sea Port, which has an opening to the Atlantic Ocean, has been neglected in favor of the Douala River Port, which requires dredging every year, and yet heavy vessels cannot anchor in it. Now, Anglophone pressure groups are of the opinion that this was deliberately done to stifle development in Limbe, in the Anglophone part of the country, as Limbe will have become the economic capital of Cameroon. Anglophones working with the state broadcaster Cameroon Radio Television, the CRTV, be they at the central services or regional levels, are treated as second-class citizens. The domination of Francophones at CRTV is appalling, according to some of them. Out of the 10 chiefs of stations and 4 heads of FM stations, only 4 are Anglophones. At the central service, there are only 2 Anglophone directors out of more than 10 directors. If an Anglophone is director, the general manager will rely more on the deputy, who is a Francophone. There has never been an Anglophone general manager of CRTV since its creation. At the Bank of Central African States, the central bank of countries in CEMAC, there is no single senior Anglophone official. That is probably the reason there is no single word in English in all denominations of CFE nodes. No Anglophone has ever been president of Cameroon Football Governing Body FECAFOOT since independence. Now, we look at the disappearance of some giant companies in Anglophone Cameroon. Most of the giant companies in the former West Cameroon that stood the test of time and employed thousands of Anglophones have since independence been shut down. The only surviving Anglophone economic giant, the Cameroon Development Corporation CDC, that was vibrant in 1993 when the first all-Anglophone conference AAC1 held, has been split into bits and pieces and are being gradually sold out to cold-blooded capitalists. There was no Anglophone on the committee for the privatization that handled the sale of CDC tea estate. Other companies in Anglophone regions that have disappeared after the Unitary State of 1972 include, among others, National Produce Marketing Board,